Regarding the Public Safety Center funding, let's see, before us we do have, let's see, I think we got the email from Michelle Hillstrom, our underwriting expert. She did send out a few sample documents of essentially general fund balance policies for various agencies throughout the state. I wouldn't focus so much on percentages, but just the language of what needs to be captured and how to progress on that. I believe Jason, you and Joel have been working on trying to gather some information. You've also been in communication.
Yeah, I think the takeaway from our meeting a few Fridays ago, our general discussion, was one instrument that's probably just sound policy internally, but also would be positive in light of our financing strategy moving forward from the bondholders, et cetera, would to have one or a series of fund balance policies that essentially indicate a threshold of or percentage of funds that would always be quote unquote in the account, whatever account that may be. Some communities have, whatever we call them, budget stabilizations, rainy day fund, permanent, et cetera. So the takeaway is from that Friday morning meeting, I took the same thing away as did Joel, as you did, Commissioner. We've had some conversations with bond counsel, underwriters, and that was one action item that they also thought would be very, very prudent for the board to consider as we head into the next 60 to 90 days. So I was in receipt of the email as well. I sent it to Joel DeMar. So there's a couple there's a Lucas County one I think is pretty decent. Yeah. So if that is something that the board, my thought would be for Joel and I to kind of get our arms around these pros, cons, et cetera, of the ones we have. We have one from a library district, a school board, a county, as you said, all from the state of Ohio. Work with the prosecutor's office. Once again, I'm just spitballing here.
Sure.
And maybe come up with a draft of something for maybe next week or the week thereafter, depending on, actually I will not be here next week, to continue to, as you say, kind of check some boxes on this process. So yeah.
And I'm not sure if you and Joel have had a chance to maybe start the exercise of, the suggestion was as a working number, $100 million. I believe it was 6.6 million debt service, and I believe the interest rate was 5%. Did we start doing anything with that, or you guys kind of had your hands full in other areas?
No, I mean, we can run an AM schedule, an amortization schedule on what that looks like. We've also, some of our conversations as we begin to learn other methodologies is there's some hybrid solutions, one of which you can do a percentage of long-term debt, percentage of short-term debt, versus notes versus bonds. That will become much more clear as we get into the pricing, into the estimates that are forthcoming in the next 3 to 4 weeks. But yeah, and then Joel and I are also going to have a discussion with the investment folks that you guys meet with quarterly, just to get, I think, Commissioner, you've had conversations in the past to get, we have extremely great resources on our consulting side. So I think in addition to what we've done in the past, when we have a project, we call them when we get through the project. We have a quarterly investment, we're going to use them on a much more frequent basis because they are experts that are going to bring value add to us. What do interest rates look like in 2024? I don't think anybody has the answer. But if they are as they are this year, as Mike always says, there's a reverse. As one goes up, the other ones aren't performing as well. But what's happening this year, as Mike had told us, and Joel and I continue to see on the investment earnings, sales tax, everything is performing quite well right now. If that happens next year, we'll have another opportunity to continue to allocate dollars to the Public Safety Center Fund. I believe right now we're in the mid-40s. Mike did a nice job on, for his tenure here, but notably this past year, as he would review the earnings, the sales tax on allocating dollars to that expense. Our Joel and I's mission is the same in the next 12 to 18 months. Regardless of which methodology we choose, notes, bondings, hybrids, cash, etc., I think the first big payment would be due in the summer of 2025. Now, that doesn't mean we have that time. We're still in this next 3 to 4 month strategy session, as we've indicated. assuming we move dirt September 1 of '24, back out 12 weeks to the bonding package. Conversations, and commissioners, I'm kind of just regurgitating my thoughts when we met with them this week, is we'll start that plan of finance the first of the year. That's even earlier than the 12-week backup, but these meetings that we're having are going to be key to what goes into that, what potential instruments we have, should we need revenue, should we not, etc. We are going to continue to meet probably bi-weekly, probably on a call every 3 weeks with Michelle and Amanda as they keep their eyes on the market, and we can continue to feed them project update, pricing updates, etc. But to answer your first question, I think this is a sound first step, and if it's something the board would like us to work on in the midst of the budgets and everything else, we'll certainly carve out some time.
Well, I think this was one of the takeaways from the workshop.
Absolutely. I just like to say that, I'm very comfortable with the people we have working on this. I think they're very knowledgeable, and we've gotten pretty sound advice to this point. So when we see those scenarios start to play out, I know that the Fed met and didn't raise short-term interest rates. I don't know how that'll affect long-term interest rates going forward, but I think at this point it's still early in the game to try and predict that. I think 5 is a solid number from all indications that our council has told us. And so moving forward, I'm very optimistic that with due diligence that we could put a strategy together to stay on our timeline here.
And I think to Commissioner Hammerchick's point, that working number right now, working, the key word is 100 million, and 5% is about $6 to $6.6 million on annual debt service. So I think that's a very fair starting point based on existing revenues. As we've talked about, we have a government services provision of ARPA that we will capitalize on for funding. And we are making significant efforts in Columbus and in DC. The state of Ohio, in addition to the capital budget that will be forthcoming, I had a call this morning with some folks. There will also be a one-time injection of funds in the tune of about $700 million from the state. So we are well positioned to make a run at those in a significant manner. Hopefully to help with the cash flow, the debt, whatever we have. We prepared a 2-page white paper on the Public Safety Center with the help of the sheriff. That has been provided to our consultants. So it's a snapshot of where we were, where we are, where we're going, and our current fiscal position. And I will continue to update that white paper as additional data comes, timing, cash flow, etc. So I think Mr. Matus used to bust my chops all the time about being a planner, but I think we've talked about this and laid out a timeline about 2 years ago, and we are to this point we're hitting those benchmarks. But as Commissioner Hammercheck said, this is a big one, so I think we're still hitting them, but we've got these next 60 days to continue to dig down deep. And I think this is a reasonable first step, second step, third step, wherever we may be.
And our next benchmark would probably be the 20th of November.
As far as the receivable, but I just will, and I've said this in the past, is that number is, based on 20%, 50% SD, schematic design. There's a whole nother level of detailed design.
So the design build team will hopefully be involved at that point.
Yeah, the goal would be, and we had our call, Commissioner, if I could chime,
Of course,
get down this path. We had our call this week with the HOK, et cetera team. We're looking at that mid-November. I guess we're in November to have the design build contract.
sorry about that.
The design build contract before you for consideration. We'll also be letting an RFP on insurance. There are insurance provisions for a project of this scale that we spoke to Ben Sutton months and months ago, and it's above and beyond what we typically have. So we're going to let an RFP for insurance services. So there's still a lot of soft costs that we need to be cognizant of. But yeah, that November 20th, we'll have a schematic design estimate, and hopefully we'll have our design build team approved, and then they can start to, from a quantities perspective, look at the estimate that HOK has provided. Matter of fact, there's a call right now with the sheriff's team continuing to tweak the layouts on what we're calling level 0, i.e. basement, and the first floor today. So it's a constant exercise. So, but we're hitting all of our marks so far.
And we're good on the footprint, right, as we stand right now?
Correct. Yeah, we have officially closed on the corner parcel, the former Burger King parcel, and a couple other parcels we have purchase agreements on that were voted upon last week. So those are scheduled to close November the 30th. I've been working with the land bank on a cost sharing program, thanks to Mr. Rogers and their board, to bring down, to raise a couple of the properties that we acquired a couple of years ago. So all those things are moving behind the scenes. All the approvals have been done here. It's just the work to actually start to see some work on the ground.
So the holiday parties can be in the ball pit?
Yeah, that's
All right.
If we move that outside the Visitors Bureau down, it'd be a real draw.
And I had a brief conversation yesterday with the city manager and assistant city manager to keep them apprised of where we are. Gave them our commitment to the sound architecture and design of downtown Painesville, and how we want to bring that those principles across the street on Erie Street. Because when the current jail is eventually demolished, there will be a connection via parking and sidewalks. And we want to pull the bricks from the city hall to the probate court, to the courthouse, to the church, to the admin center, to the sandstone, and drag that design there. And that we have a more civic purpose than just the public safety center. And he was very grateful for that. We talked about, and I know I'm kind of beyond scope, we talked about potential variances that may be needed. Front setback, we want this building to be close to Erie Street in true urban form. We talked about height ratios, the pitched roofs that we want. So I'm going to send him a series of questions to his planning department to see if we're going to need any variances. Obviously, we'll have to go through planning in any ways for normal approval. And then we'll have an informal discussion with their city architect and our architect. So yeah, everything is so far so good.
And you're definitely in bounds, because as our experts did say, we have to demonstrate management ability, and you are showing
Correct.
the depth of covering all the bases. So
Yeah, I think.
never
I think so.
apologize for doing your job.
Thanks.
So with that, though, for those who may be trying to understand why we're going through this exercise, we are working on the preliminary official statement, the memorializing our general fund and the accounting strategies that we're going to be adopting. Those are all critical, and these ongoing meetings and literally checking off being a good neighbor within the community, those all factor into this. We also need to be prepared for sending Jason and Joel off on an away mission here to be talking to Moody's and possibly a Standard & Poor's at some point. So.
Yeah, there'll be a ratings meeting. I've been on one ratings call when I first took this position in 2012. It reminded me of my days of defending your thesis in college. It's a great exercise, and they'll talk about our management philosophy, clearly our fiscal position, our fiscal strategy should we hit troubled waters down the road, and Joel and I will be well prepared when that time comes, which at the current timeline that was established will be in the late spring.
Here's the foundational work. Okay, is there anything else we need to talk about? Sounds like we got some more homework for next week, and just keep going through the process.
Since Jason won't be here next week, do we want to skip a week, and will that take us to the 20th?
Next week, so what is next week? Today's the
Second.
It'll be the 9th plus 16. It'll be that week. That won't be the 20th.
No.
And that, as you know, in construction engineering, that's November 20-ish, either way. So, 16th. The 16th. Yeah. But the 20th is the potential due date for the schematic design estimate from the designers.
So if we skip the 9th, recycle for the 16th. then we can talk through these different strategies.
You know, if procedurally, I'm just talking out loud here.
Yeah.
If you, Joel or I could put a SIG file memo together, and along the lines of pursuant to the conversation on November 2nd, we would recommend contemplating a draft of the fund balance policies. You know, we could do that in the next couple days, and then use the next week and a half. Now, duly note, I mean, to be noted, Joel's going to be key in this, and he is knee deep right
Understood,
now. But we got to keep moving. I understand.
And as our experts say, we are in the business of running a county, not a jail, so we have to demonstrate we can take all this on.
I understand.
So, and then we got poor Joel back there, you know. We're gonna have to get that boy grapes or something to keep him engaged. Okay, anything further, Mr. Regovich, you want to add?
I think we're good.
Excellent. All
And
right.
if I may, real quick, just while
Oh, of
we're in
course.
public session, probably do a more formal presentation around Christmas on where, at a commissioners meeting, or I guess I'll defer to you guys on where we're at with the jail. You know, I give an update weekly, but if at the proper time, you know, if we have, you know, some renderings, or just to give people an update. Obviously, they know it is across the street from the jail, and it's 3 stories. But I would like to just continue to provide detail as pertinent. So that'll be coming. It won't be in November, but probably mid-December. I'll have a more formal presentation.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, and although the workshop is brief, this is an awful lot of stuff getting condensed, and this is the distilled down meat and potato stuff.
And like I said, the sheriff probably would have been here, but he is on a conference call right now on this project with his entire team.
Understood.
I look at this as we're just kind of relaying the work that all these people are doing, including Jason and Joel, on a daily basis. So they're working hard at this, and I appreciate all their effort, and to have the finished product to what we believe it should be, so it looks towards the future. I think it's important to do that. So.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, if there's nothing further, I'll thank everyone for joining us today, and we will be recycling and coming back on the 16th, 9 o'clock. Right? Okay.
Good. Make sure Jennifer knows.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.